What's up, everybody? I am back with the guy that most of you who listen to this show have been requesting since he was here on episode 5. My brother, probably my best friend. He is.
Thanks,
Let's
bro.
be real. Kyle Moran. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? How's it going? Hello, everybody.
I don't know where to go with this because we're just going to have to jump straight in. It's been a wild day.
Yeah, huge day, man. For you especially, and Josh, but everybody. Steven got his blue belt today, which is a huge accomplishment and unexpected, I think.
Yeah, man, very unexpected. I did not expect that. I was blown away, and first of all, I should apologize for my voice because I was sick last week and had to cancel on some podcasts for the first time ever since this thing's been going. And now I'm just kind of battling my way through. So I do apologize for my voice on this week's episode, and I'm hoping that'll be better in the next few days when I do more and when those episodes come out. But yeah, man, it's been so this week started off crazy. So like I was saying, last weekend I went to, jiu-jitsu Friday and Saturday, and then Saturday night I was like, man, my muscles are sore. And I was like, well, okay, used to being sore, you've been going hard. Yeah. Thinking
but more
that
than
kind
usual.
of thing. Yeah. And then I wake up in the middle of the night sweating, running a fever, and my bones and body and just it all ached. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm sick. All right, this isn't good. So Sunday and Monday, I just laid around on the couch, had to call into work Monday. I was like, I'm not going to make it, guys. And the kicker of it all is this is my last week of college.
Mm-hmm.
Your boy was graduating college. And
dude, the whole week for you has been massive. I forgot. I knew that, but I forgot about it and didn't take it into account. Thinking about this as well, it's huge.
Yeah, and so I had 2 major projects to do, and so I missed Sunday and Monday when I was going to get started and really get them going. And one of my big projects was for Head Kick Radio and a digital strategy that I was putting together that I'm going to implement for moving forward. And so I was kind of stressing because I really wanted to put, my best effort into it and give it my all. And so I started kind of get a little worried, and Tuesday rolls around and man, it's like I flipped a switch.
Mm-hmm.
Like I still felt bad, you can still hear me, but I was starting to feel better. And I knocked out one project, like the rough version of it. Wednesday comes, I was like, all right, I'm getting started on the next one. Knocked out that next project, the rough version of it. Thursday comes, I go through both of them. I just fine tooth comb them, and then I turn them in, and I go to my actual last class on Thursday. And I was sitting there, and it's kind of one of those cool things in the last class because it was a project-based class. It wasn't like a final test or anything that you had to show up for. And I was sitting in there, and I was like, man, 4.5 years to finish a 4-year degree. I was like, I've been grinding hard for that thing too. I was like, this is kind of cool. So I finished that. Friday rolls around, and I was like, okay, I'm feeling better. So I went, rolled at an open mat last night at the gym, and I was like, man, I still sound like, I'm hoarse. I was like, I'm feeling good. Today rolls around. I was so excited because the one reason why I wanted to show up to the seminar, we went to an Eddie Bravo seminar today here in 10th Planet, Chicago. And I just had this feeling, and I kind of whispered to the guys too. I was like, I kind of feel, I was like, Josh is, going to be getting his black belt soon. And I was right. And if it happens here in Chicago, I can't miss it. I was like, I love Josh so much. You love Josh so much. Everybody we know loves Josh. And I was like, I got to show up just for that one reason alone. I was like, I don't care what I learn in the seminar, anything. I was like, if this thing could happen. And so it turns out the seminar was really good.
Yeah, for sure. I picked up on a ton of details for things that are already in my game that I use regularly. And I got to feel the pressure from Master Eddie Bravo. So I got to feel what it should feel like. And some of those things are gold mines. Super clutch information.
So let me paint the picture. So if anybody for some reason is listening that does not know Eddie Bravo, the creator of the 10th Planet system, he's a Jean-Jacques Machado black belt. If you don't know him, now you know him. Look into it, bro. Look into it. So I thought it was so cool today, and I want to point that out because out of the 50 people in that room, Eddie picks you out to be, like his grappling dummy.
Yeah, for sure. I saw him locking eyes with me while he was doing his conspiracy talk in the beginning, and
it's because you're a good-looking dude, I think, man.
Thanks, bro. Thank you. I appreciate the compliment. And I was thinking that it could happen, but also in disbelief. And when he called me, I was like, oh, this is for real going down. And you're like, I get weirdly nervous when I know everyone in the room. I feel as if I knew none of those faces, I wouldn't have been nervous at all.
And the time I ended that, like, I only got nervous because of how close you and I are. That it was you. I was like, oh man.
Right.
I was like, it's kind of like, like it's your brother. I'm like, dude, we're so close. Please don't mess up.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I don't want to listen to all of our friends make fun of you because if you did mess up, I was like, I kind of got to be like, yeah, I mean, you're right. But you did awesome today.
Thanks, man. I was still thinking of asking Josh what I could do better on, and my initial gut was telling me that I need to work on my dogfight, my transition into dogfight. The first time I did it, I was thinking like, oh, that was a little clunky. So I would like to do that again for sure. I need to get my reps in on that, and then see whatever else anybody else has to give me as far as feedback.
We'll get into that seminar. So like, you have to be good at the rubber guard, system, or at least be knowledgeable of it. Eventually, if you've been in the 10th Planet system long enough. And I've always liked it. I've never really been that great at it until the past few weeks. Like, we've been repping it more and more with Josh, and then today in the seminar. Like, did you feel pretty comfortable with it since we've been repping it a lot lately?
I'm super comfortable with it. I mean, I wouldn't say super comfortable. For relatively, in terms of the rest of my game, it's something that I try to play as often as I can. What I was happiest about is the way that he introduced the idea of the go-go flip, talking about being a small guy and grappling against what feel like is giants, right? And that's a situation that I'm in all the time. I mean, Josh has said it, the average guy at our gym is like 190 pounds and higher a lot of the time. So for me to be at 155 and know that Eddie tailored a lot of the approach today to that exact situation, being the small guy grappling with somebody who's much larger and maybe as experienced, if not potentially more experienced than you, to now have some of those weapons in my arsenal feel really good. And I can't wait to get in there and start repping them during rolls. It's gonna be awesome.
What did you think about that terminology of when you're going to somebody's gym and, Eddie was kind of saying like at headquarters, he's always having people roll through. It's like Abu Dhabi, trials every night.
Oh yeah.
With all these people. But think about it. Like you and I, we travel, enough. I wouldn't say like a ton, but we travel enough where we go to different gyms and this and that. So I'm coming up on a 2-week trip to Oklahoma and Texas. So like it's, it hits home where he's like, I just like to get, a tap on those, big wrestlers, or all Americans and, weigh 50, 40 pounds on me, which I don't run into as much being, 205, 210 pounds, whereas you do. But, we know what that feeling's like. And the people that are listening to this that do go to other gyms, they realize like, yeah, when you do go to another gym, it is like the Abu Dhabi trials.
It's a competition for sure. Every time I've gone in there, and you don't want it to be that. You don't think it's going to be that. But once you start training with people and it almost takes a little bit to like learn the style of the person that you're rolling with, right? I mean, you go to your own gym and you roll with these people all the time. You know what they like, you know what they're looking for. They know the same for you. So maybe they're shutting your stuff down. You go to this other, like another gym, and it's completely random. You have no idea what this person's going to do. It's a guess at best. You know what I mean? And it takes a little bit to acclimate to that setting. I would think if I went to that same gym a couple of times while I'm in the same trip, you know what I mean, I would feel a little bit better. But even when I go to Adelaide's gym, 10th Planet, it's not Detroit, or it is Detroit now, 10th Planet Detroit, and Ann Arbor, when he had it, we know those guys. I see those guys at competitions, and I see them every time I go there to train, but I haven't been there in a while, and when I walk in, it feels super high energy, even though they have nothing but the best of intentions for each other, but you still get that it pushes the pace. It really does.
Yeah, and everybody's games is just a little bit different. And when Master Eddie was saying, like some of those guys, you just like got to get that one tap on. He's like, and then you just stalemate the rest of the time. He's
Survive.
like, he goes, put that up on YouTube. That I thought that was so cool because I mean, like he has people gunning for him all the time. Josh, when people roll through, like Josh has people gunning for him. Like it's one of those worlds that we're not there yet necessarily, like except when we go to other places, but it's such a small level. Like nobody's posting a video of tapping us on YouTube, which is fantastic.
Well, and he was talking about starting the school as a blue belt or a purple belt. And if you've got black belts and brown belts or people who have been training for a long time and maybe just haven't been belted but are skilled coming into your gym, they're looking to kill you. They're really looking to put the pressure on hard and tap you as many times as they can. They've got, I don't want to say it's egoic, but or that they have something to prove, but they want it. They came there kind of for that reason, you know? He was even talking about that in regards to like your own students. He was saying you teach them and try to instill this knowledge of the art in them, and then they want to tap you. And in this sport, that's choking you out or trying to break one of your joints, you know?
Right. Jiu-jitsu is such a crazy thing. Like, you know, the gentle art, you know, where you can go full speed, but like at the same time, it's complete chaos to me.
Yeah, it's not gentle.
And especially when you feel like you're in those abby-dabby roles, but we have some great guys around us and at our gym that just, you know, they help make each other better. And I can't say enough, you know, thank yous for those guys. And when at the end of the seminar, when Josh gave out the belts and I was the last one called up there, and I wasn't expecting it, kind of got a little emotional because I was so happy for all my friends right in front of me. Like I was getting emotional for them. I was like, man, they freaking worked their tails off. Like I was so happy. And then when he said me, I was like, and I, you know, cause I'm doppelganger, and I almost forgot. I was like, for a second, like I had to pause. I was like, oh, good. Who's that? Oh, that's me.
Yeah, right. You recognize it. You know who was on point though and guessed every single one of them before they happened was Israel. Izzy nailed it.
Did he just name drop him?
Oh my God. Yeah. He knew right away. He knew it. I mean, it was Dexter, Zach, Patrick, and you.
Yeah. Shout out to those guys.
Yeah, for sure. And the only two that I knew for sure were Patrick, and then when Josh was giving out the last belt, Izzy said your name before Josh had gotten to that punchline, and I was like, oh, he's right. That is who it is. And sure as shit, it was. He was on top of it with his guessing today.
I know, and so he says that, and then Eddie right after Josh, you know, presents Josh with his black belt, and I was like, man, and that's all I wanted today was to see Josh get his black belt. I had a strong feeling, like the Force.
Yeah, me too.
You know, the Jedi Force, and I was just like, man, because you know I've rolled with, you know, handfuls of black belts, you know, because I'm almost 3 years into the game, like full on, like, you know, I dabbled in it way back in the day as a teenager, but like full on. And when he said that, man, tears came to my eyes because I was so happy for Josh.
Oh yeah, a lot of people in that room were in the same boat as you,
and
for sure.
Because if it wasn't for Josh, dude, we would not be who we are. We would not be in this position. We would not
at all.
We would not be doing this podcast.
I completely agree.
I know I do personally. I owe that man a lot of thank yous for sure, and you know, hopefully I can win the lottery and share a ton of wealth.
Share it, donate, help the gym somehow.
Yeah.
Completely agree, man. Completely agree. It was awesome. Huge day today. Seminar was sweet. Rolls last night were sweet. Seeing everybody get belted, hugely inspiring. Seeing Josh get his black belt, hugely inspiring. I mean, I've seen promotions on Instagram, and I've seen videos of the promotions on Mastering the System, and there's nothing like the energy in the room when Eddie made the announcement was high, for sure.
Oh my goodness, that gym just erupted.
Oh, it was loud, man. People pounding on the mats, clapping, screaming. Very cool. Very cool to see that. I won't forget that moment for sure.
No, never. That is one. Today is one of the days that when I look back on life, when I'm 80, 100, my magical age of 120 that I try to live to. When I look back on life, today is one of those days.
Right. Right. You'll never forget it.
I'm never going to forget it. I'm hoping I can go to bed tonight because I have to get up at 5 in the morning.
Right. It's going to be hard.
To do a 12-hour drive down south. And I don't know.
You're driving?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to bed.
Brutal. That's brutal.
But, dude, like, forget like how crazy and awesome this week has been for me graduating college, the jiu-jitsu promotion, seeing my coach get all that, like, you got big things coming yourself. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure, man. I'm trying to start a business and hopefully one day get out of corporate America fully, but for now, just try to supplement some extra income starting a business. And I am getting certified right now to be a personal trainer, but I'm not going to be doing just that. I think I'm going to start an online business trying to help coach people in terms of nutrition, fitness, supplementation, ideally shooting for budding jiu-jitsu practitioners or anybody who's just getting into some sort of combat sport and is looking to lose weight, gain a little bit of weight, feel better, move better, have more energy throughout the day. These are the types of things that I've been helping people with consistently, whether it's friends, family, people in the gym, people I work with. And I'm just starting to realize that I have a knack for it and I'm ready to turn it into a business. And I'm ready to start helping people who are willing to put their effort into becoming better.
Yeah, dude. So you are one of the few people in my life that has like truly inspired me to reach out, to be an entrepreneur, to do things. And I would just wanted to say, like, when you told me you were going to do this business adventure, I was always thinking, I was like, dude, this is your calling. You are somebody who definitely has the I don't know, like the mental fortitude, the wherewithal, the drive, the passion to like research, to really go the extra mile to figure out how is this going to be possible. Do you lay out like a list of like your fears and like what's obtainable right now, like the financial goals so and all that? Like, how do you think about all that?
It's kind of a challenge in a way. I guess it changes every day. The thing that I've done most recently is started writing out a grateful log most mornings of the week. I would like to be able to say it's every morning, but it's kind of a struggle to get there. So that's my goal. And in that grateful log, I write out 3 things I am grateful for. And I got this idea from Charles Poliquin, as I got a lot of my information from him. So he talks about focusing on the things that you're grateful for, because the things that you appreciate start to appreciate back to you, right? And at first, it makes sense if you want to write, I'm grateful for my family and I'm grateful for my friends and I have an excellent partner and those types of things, but that's kind of setting the bar too high because you're going to run out of those large things as time goes on. And hopefully, like I said, if you're doing this every day, that'll run out pretty quickly. So you have to start getting smaller with it, set your bar a little lower and start writing about maybe you had a great cup of coffee, put that on that list. You know what I mean? Be grateful for that. That type of thing is awesome. If somebody really helped you master something, right, for the podcast, right, write that down. Be appreciative of that person and do that every day. And then at the end of the day, I try to write again and reflect on the day and think about things that I did for somebody to help them and things that somebody did for me to help me, just to kind of be grateful for those actions as well, and to force myself to look at it and view my life from that purpose. And that's had a big impact. And then the next thing that I did when I was originally thinking about this was I realized that I had a lot of things on my plate. I make music and I do jiu-jitsu and I strength train and trying to get my nutrition in line, and I'm working as well. And I signed up for the certification program, which is basically like taking a college class. There's not much different. It's a giant textbook, hardcover. It's very much so like going to school. And I had to learn how to prioritize and know what is the best order to handle things, right? Because people talk about like your top priorities, but priority means one, right? You can't only have one priority. So when you have top 10 priorities, that means that you're digging a hole that you're never going to get out of. So you have to choose those things. So I wrote down all my goals on a sheet of paper, and sometimes people say you're supposed to separate them from long-term and short-term goals. And I just kind of thought, fuck that. And I put all of them on this sheet. And some of them were things that can be checked off, like reach a certain weight goal, body weight goal. And other ones are like eat more vegetables, something that never gets checked off, right? It's something that has to stay on there. You can never cross that one off.
Yeah, it's there till you die.
Yeah, definitely. And I posted it right in front of my desk. So every time I look up, it's a foot away from me, and I see it every single day when I sit at the desk where I work and do my work, and I look at that, and it keeps me on track, and it helps me truly prioritize the task that is most important at that time.
Because I've always heard about people talk about like every morning wake up and write down, or before you go to bed, either or, and write down 3 things you're grateful for. Mm-hmm. And whether you start your day or whatever, and then throughout the day, just look at that list, or, whether it's the next day, whatever. So when you put it in front of you at work and you just get to see it all day, do you think that's more powerful to you just to see it all day? Or are you somebody like, do you read it in the morning too? Do you think about this thing in the morning? Do you think about it before you go to bed?
I definitely recognize when there's themes when I start writing something down and I'm like, oh, I've definitely written this before. And I try to do it obviously all in the same notebook. So I don't, the grateful log, my morning and nightly writings stay inside of the journal, but the goals are posted in front of me, right? Because those are milestones that I have to check off eventually to reach the state that I want to be in, the state of being, as well as the state of for financial and the state of the business at one day. And there's a lot of things to do, that from starting the podcast, it takes a lot of time. So I'll read through the grateful log a couple days later, if I'm looking at it and I feel like it. Honestly, I don't think that the reflection helps me as much, but as much as from rereading it, but the reflection of forcing myself to write it. Sometimes I got to think about it, and it takes me a minute to fill out that third one, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I should be grateful for more in my life right now, and once you've done it a couple of days in a row and you have to really start thinking about it, you realize that even when you thought you set the bar lower, it's not quite low enough. And so I'm always learning from this, and it's definitely been helping. I think I'm a sales rep at work, so I think it's helped my meetings get a lot better, and the conversations that I have with my parents when I call them, because I'm like long distance from my family. They're in Detroit. So I think it helps me kind of align my mental state to the things that are going on that are good, because it's so easy to fall down the path and let your poison your mindset,
Yeah. I think another thing I've always thought about is because I've been trying to get better about writing things down, whether I'm grateful for something, whether it's goals, a list, whatever it is, just write it down. But the thing that I always kind of, I would say I wondered in my mind is how apt are you to share that with your partner, your family, your friends, the things, whether it's on any of these lists? How much do you share that with people?
I don't really share what I write in the grateful log with anybody. I keep that to myself. The goals, I'm pretty outspoken, so most people know what those are for the most part. I like to talk about what I learn and what I'm doing. So for that kind of stuff, I talk about it with a lot of people. But the thing is, I'm not scared or nervous to tell somebody that I appreciate them, or that I appreciate something they've done, or that I appreciate anything going on in life, right? So even though I'm writing down maybe that I'm grateful for having such a great partner, right? I'll tell her that, definitely. And my same thing for my dad, my mom, and you, and my friends and stuff like that. And so I think part of it is not being scared to let people know how you're feeling emotionally in those types of situations, and then also to internalize it as well. I definitely find value in doing both of those things for sure.
Have you been reading as much? Because you and I used to always talk books. We kind of been a little more distant lately, just because all the things you got going on, things I've got going on. We haven't had the back and forth that we usually do. So I was kind of thinking about what are some things I can ask Kyle, and one of them that really popped up in my head is man, have you been reading? I know you're always reading. So if you are, and what has it been?
Yeah, no. So I like reading actual books written by authors about topics that they enjoy. But right now, because I'm taking that class, the main thing that I have been reading is the ins and outs of personal training. So that's the main thing. So because most of the information that I'm putting in is about the body and about training, I find myself listening to podcasts as well that are kind of geared towards that. So I'm definitely introducing a lot of that information into me right now. And then when I'm done with the class, I'll probably pick up one of my books. And the ones that are on the list right now are The Art of War. And
it's a great book, man. It's a great book.
I already have it, so reading it won't be an issue. It's just I have to find the time, right? Because I only have so much leisure time that I can dedicate to reading. Right. And right now I have to dedicate it to this class because it's timed, right? It's a time sensitive thing. And I have an exam that I have to take within 6 months of signing up, which is actually in 4 months now. So I have to prep for that. So that's my main chunk of reading. The book that I did finish most recently though was 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. That book was amazing.
I mean, everybody I've talked to has I've only read excerpts of it in different like chapters, never read the full book, but what I've read of it, I've enjoyed, and everybody that has read it, and I've, talked to people that are outside of our, jujitsu, MMA, like lifestyle. A lot of more of my conservative friends have really read that, and they like it tremendously. So like drop some knowledge. Like, do you remember, is there a part of that book that you would like just kind of really,
Yeah. I mean, there's one piece that really, really resonated with me. And first, I highly recommend that book. I think everybody should actually read the book. You can download the audiobook if you want, but you should read the book because it means a little bit more when you actually read the words on a page.
Do you highlight things? I highlight things. I'll read through first as a fan or like interested in the book, and then I'll read it again a lot of times, and I know what to go back to and kind of highlight. Do you do that?
Yeah, sometimes if I see sentences or phrases that really resonate with me, I will underline them, but not as often, because what ends up happening to me a lot of the time is I really get into a flow when I'm reading, and I like to not break that flow because I can read then for a long time if I get into that flow state when I'm actually soaking all of it in. The best piece of that book for me was the spot where he's talking about like cleaning up your own room. He talks about not judging the outside world when you haven't even put your own life together.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing. And the way that it's a whole chapter that he uses that. And it's one of the rules for life. And it makes a lot of sense. I find that the more I focus on the external, it's almost like the more stuff starts falling apart in my own life. And when I can actually focus on that, not only are you less pessimistic towards what's going on outside of your life, you're almost more open-minded and willing to entertain and listen to what's going on in other people's lives, right? Like you become more useful to the community opposed to only focusing on the negative things that are going on.
Do you think that's because you understand who you are a little bit more? And so maybe like through your own interpretation, when you see and hear others, you're like, man, I've been there.
I think really what it is, it's like in a relationship, like you can't force the person to change. You know what I mean? You can't mold somebody into somebody that they're not, And when you're looking at the outside world and all you're doing is criticizing it, that's a waste of energy. You can't force those changes, right? That's like trying to force the change on a lot of people. And yeah, you can rally and gather and fight for a cause. That's not what I'm saying. But if you take that time and you focus internally and you think about what your values are and how you can actually accomplish those types of things and what in your hierarchy of needs, what is most important to you? Is it adventure? Is it security? Is it money or relationships? I mean, you have to choose and write these out and rank them and then make your decisions based off of that. But that's what I'm saying. Like if you haven't even cleaned up your own room, how are you supposed to make an impact in the world, right? Like
right.
Even in that sense of joining together and being part of a team that helps drive impact, somebody had to put that together. You know what I mean? They actually had to think about the idea of how the logistics, right? Of how to do that. That person has got it figured out. You know what I mean? They thought about themselves, what they want, the change they want to make in the world, how they were going to do it, and then they're executing it. They're not only criticizing,
Yeah.
And that's kind of what he's getting at. He's like, you don't complain about these people who you really are never going to change. That doesn't help you at all. What can you do in your life that's going to help you change, right?
Yeah. And see, and to piggyback off that, I just started reading the new David Goggins book that has come out.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Did you see it over here? And so I started reading it, and what really got me interested is I saw him on an interview with Tom Bilyeu. I think it's called Impact Theory, I think's his thing. I can't remember if it is. Shout out to you, dude. Super, way successful, way more than me. So everybody probably knows who he is. And his whole thing is that too, like he used to say, like people used to call him the hard N word, like just, and say things to him that would really, degrade him as a child. And it was one of those things. He goes, I could have taken that, and I could have taken the environment I was in and where I was in life with family and all this, and I could have let it just, overwhelm me and overcome me, and just, put you in that stereotypical thing that society and everything tries to that box it tries to put you in. He said, no, not today. And that's his whole thing is like, and if anybody knows who David Goggins is, they know how intense he is. And he just ramps it up. He uses all that as fuel. And I think Jordan Peterson, like without all the exercise, like, you know, that Goggins gets into, like Jordan Peterson is that for the mind. Like he's the intellectual, that version for the mind of like, don't let all this negativeness, you know, say who you are or, you know, determine who you're going to be. Like use that and make something positive out of it. Don't let it, you know, put you in that box that society wants to put you into. Don't let others, you know, portray their visions on top of you. Take it and then be the person you want to be. Be who you are, but use your brain. And it's, you know, and it says it's two different forms. One's physical, one's mental. And so reading that and you're like, man, you're right. So every time I want to feel sorry for myself, I just think of all these guys that, you know, their books and their excerpts and their podcasts and all these things that you see here and everything. And I'm like, man, I can't quit. I can't.
Oh yeah.
I can't let, you know, society tell me who I am. I want to be who I am. This is who I am, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Sitting here trying to figure all this out right now, but one day we're going to get a little bit, you know, more knowledge and all that. Like, how do you feel? Because think about like where we were when we sat here. It was over 6 months ago. The day after you got your blue belt. How ironic. The day that I get mine.
Very much so.
The day after, you know, you got yours, we sat here. This is like a little full circle thing.
Yeah, that's weird. I did not even recognize that.
I was thinking about that just a little bit ago.
I totally forgot about that. That's super cool.
But think about what you knew back then, 6 months ago, to what you think and how you view the world and how you act and like what little changes you've made in 6 months.
A lot.
It's been tremendous.
Oh my God. Yeah. Huge. Yeah. And it's definitely from stuff like this, like the idea of writing what you're grateful for. And yeah, that was massive. I was in a job change during that time, and the job that I was at, I hated. And now I'm actually talking about starting my own business. You know what I mean? Like a lot of things have manifested in that time frame. That's crazy. I think something you were saying about putting yourself in a box in society, placing you in a spot where they may think you belong, is back to the quote from Charles Poliquin earlier, what you appreciate appreciates. It's the same type of thing mentally. If you feed the negative emotions, they're going to get bigger, you know? And if you feed the positive emotions, those are going to get bigger. And you really have to get to a point where you're strong enough mentally to shut down the negative self-talk as soon as you catch it. Like, yeah, you have to catch it. That's a game in and of itself. And once it's caught, you actually have to shut that down and change it and force yourself to start thinking the other way. And I mean, I struggle with this regularly, but I'm noticing that over time, you know, since that point in time that you're referring to, I've definitely taken a step in the right direction, and it's a lot of things are getting better. I mean, a lot. Things are really starting to fall in place, and it's like I really feel like I have a strong vision of where I want my future to go now. And it's from positive thinking, good podcasts, good books, having good info coming in. I heard somebody talking about diet, and they were saying that diet isn't just what you put in your mouth for food. It's everything. It's the people you surround yourself with. It's the sights. It's the
things you look at, the things you read.
Yeah, it's all of it. That's a really interesting way, right, to think about it. And the nutrition that you give your brain is as important as the nutrition that you give your body, you know? Because if you start giving your brain, for the lack of a better word, mental pizza, right? You'll start to get anxious and depressed, and that's when all these negative feelings start to bubble up, and then the more you do it, it's harder to keep it down, you know?
So why do you think, because like I used to have Justin sitting across from me, you know, every few episodes, and him and we'd have these conversations, and I would look at him and I would say, and I'm no angel here, so I'm not, you know, talking down to him. I'm just talking to him. I'm just a little bit more disciplined than he is in the sense of what I'm about to say to you and ask you. But why do you think we all know, like everybody who's listening, we all know the things we should eat, the things we should watch, the things we, you know, should read, we should do, but why do we not do those things?
Feels so good to be bad. I don't know.
Does it? Or is it just easy?
I feel like that.
Does it feel good or is it easy?
It's not easy, because if you think about the heartache that comes from it afterwards, you know, I just think that sometimes it's the same thing. It's a lot easier to think the negative thoughts than it is the good ones. And I've been trying to eat pretty damn clean lately, and I've been doing a really good job of it, but 2 weeks ago, Emily and I went out and we got pizza, and it was real easy for me to eat that whole pizza, and I felt awful afterwards, you know? And I don't know why it's easy to make those bad decisions. But it is definitely, we see it in the world, but it's not, I mean, I don't think it's the only way to be, that's for sure. I think a lot of it has to do probably with social media and society in general, right? We're getting these messages of what life is supposed to look like, and then we start to feel like maybe our lives don't match what you're seeing. And we all know that people are only posting the best moments of their lives, but we still fill our visual or auditory stream with that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I deleted Facebook off my phone, and I've never really been into Snapchat, and I never really was into Twitter. And all you have is Instagram? All I'm on is Instagram, and I actually don't think that that's very good for me, for my mental state.
Like not having it, or what do you mean?
To be on it.
Oh, to be on it.
To be on it, yeah. I actually think it's pretty bad for me. And that I think the more that I focus on like the social media, the times that I was doing that, my thought process was tainted for sure. You know what I mean?
It was because you were trying to live up to an image of yourself that you couldn't just, it wasn't sustainable, or what do you like?
I don't know. I think I wasn't happy in my own position, right? I wasn't satisfied with my career at that time, and I didn't really have a project, like a real project, something to work towards. When you get out of school, it's like school's over, and then you just get a job, and maybe you don't love that job right away. There's a huge percentage of people that don't. And I think that you just want to feel like not how you feel in that moment. You want to feel happy, or maybe that's even chasing too much, but you just want to feel like you have some drive and motivation to do something that's a little bit bigger than you, and it's not there maybe, and you just want it to be there. And when you start looking through other people's lives, and all they're showing are those moments, whether you know about it or not, it still impacts you pretty heavily, And honestly, I think that has a lot to do with it. I think our current way of living makes it really easy to make bad decisions. There's bars everywhere. We live in Chicago. There's bars everywhere, and there's pizza places everywhere. When we look to get food delivered to the house, it's like Thai food and pizza and pasta and low quality burgers. You know what I mean? You really can't get healthy food delivered. So even if you just think about that, how easy is it to make that bad decision?
Yeah. That's why I was saying, like, I think making bad decisions is too easy. Mm-hmm. Like, and I didn't know if is it a discipline thing, or is this why we're making this? 'Cause it's easy, or is it like, why are we making these bad decisions?
Some of it's for sure discipline, dude.
When
I definitely
we know we
believe
should make
in
those
that.
good ones. Yeah.
I really do believe in discipline. The more, you have to, like, even if you know something's bad for you, sometimes people will do it. Like, that comes to the point where it's like, all right, that's discipline. You can overwrite social programming. If your parents taught you shitty lessons when you were young, you can overwrite that shit. And if you don't think you can, that's to your detriment, because you can definitely make those changes. It is not easy. There's social programming instilled within all of us that is terribly hard to even recognize, And once you recognize something, I was just listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and he was talking about addiction, like quitting cigarettes. And even if people try and fail, that means that the next time they try, it'll be easier for them to do it. And over time, when they finally are ready to quit doing whatever it is, it's an effortless decision. It doesn't feel like the first time anymore. So even if those tried and failed attempts still end up and deposit into a positive bank account, right? You need those experiences to help build momentum for you through the rest of the way. So I still think there's benefit, but you still have to constantly be making those changes, and they're not easy. And I think, we're missing out on struggle a little bit. We talked about this before after jiu-jitsu classes. Our society doesn't challenge you in maybe a physical way. Like, there's nothing like having some dude on your back trying to choke you out. Like, that wakes you up, It makes you snap into it and realize that you're human and vulnerable and you have holes. And I think that when we were evolving, we had those types of challenges. We had to literally hunt and gather our own food. You know what I'm saying? Right. We didn't have shelter. And that type of challenge, I think, kept us in a certain mind state. And now so many things are so easy, and there's so many bad decisions to be made. And I think that, losing my train of thought, but I think in general, it comes down to having the discipline to force yourself to make those right decisions enough. And then once you start feeling better, it becomes pretty easy.
Well, see, I'm glad you said that, because like jujitsu, it humbles you. It makes you feel so vulnerable out there. And then, and that's something I used to think about, is I used to run around this whole, country here feeling not so vulnerable. But now that I've been doing jujitsu for a good amount of time, almost, 3 full years now, I feel so vulnerable, but at the same time, I've never felt more powerful. And it's that weird like dichotomy of like, when you put it all together, I don't even know how to really phrase that, because it's like you feel so mentally strong, and then like all the other little victories in life, the being disciplined or doing the things that you should be doing, that you want to do, which is still, in a way part of discipline, that like when it all adds together, you're like, man, I'm becoming the person that I want to be. I'm becoming the, I'm going to use the old Joe Rogan saying of like the hero of the movie that, I want to see and that I want to be in. And I think there's nothing, more empowering than that. But at the same time, like that vulnerability of knowing that, hey man, somebody could be on your back choking you out is so real at the same time. Dude, I think that's where like all the empathy and all the love and everything that I experience now is coming from. It's either that or aging. I'm turning 30 soon. I'm not sure.
You don't act like it. Not at all. Dude, have you, there's that new movie on Netflix called Mowgli, and I watched it last night, and there's it's a
good movie, huh?
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
I'm an OG Jungle Book fan, man.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. I saw the animated one, then I saw the one that was in theaters a couple years ago, and that was dope. And then I watched this one. When the bear's talking to him, and he's like, "We're all food."
That's Blue.
Yeah. We're all food, He's like, everyone in here can be hunted in the jungle, right? That's the black bear saying it, right? This giant, fierce animal admitting that, and that's the truth. You could feel that power, and also know that, I mean, you can get people or you can get got,
I mean, Baloo and Gira, man, those are two like metaphorical people, like, that are in your head. If you really think about it, that panther and that bear of that movie, like those are, to me, those are voices that I've always heard even as a kid and like growing up. Like, so like now when I see that movie, I'm like, man, I resonate a lot with it, because I feel like I have, I feel like I have that bear and that panther in my head, like telling me these things that I should be listening to. But sometimes when discipline fails, like that's my discipline, is those two. And my discipline fails, then I find myself in bad situations, and in the monkey's den, or, with Ka, the snake. But Ka was good in this movie. I was kind of surprised.
It was very cool.
Because,
very cool.
Like, spoiler alert, sorry people. But Ka's has not always been good in a lot of those Jungle Book stories.
Yeah, it was very cool. Very good show. I definitely enjoyed that.
See, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you can take those mental breaks and watch those nostalgic things in life, and still find like deeper meaning of them, like to yourself. Like everything that, like I watch is not going to mean the same thing to you,
as
vice versa. But like even something that you just take, like in nostalgia and just watch it, you can still see those metaphorical meanings to them. And I think like those are the kind of movies that are so powerful, to you as a person, that may not be to anybody else. But like, I think those things in life are so cool. And just like one of those things, like all the buildup of like meeting Eddie and this and that, and getting to meet him last night, and hanging out with him today and talking conspiracy theories. And fun. Like that was a blast.
Dude, seeing him show up last night threw me off. I wasn't used to seeing him in the gym really, but I was used to watching Mastering the System or watching the EBIs all the time. So I've only seen him on a screen, you know what I mean? So when he was there yelling at us while we were rolling, I was like, what? It just threw me off. It took me a second to process what was going on. It was interesting.
You're like, wait, this is my real life right now.
For real.
And something I've always watched on a screen is sitting right here. And the guy that created the system and all that madness is like, now it's right in front of me.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's the cool thing, is that's where jiu-jitsu can take you. Your journey can take you to the things that you seek, the things that you follow.
It literally has, man. It literally has. Today I had people at the gym. I needed people to be willing to utilize the services that I plan on using in the business, so that way I can actually generate some change and get some testimonials and help people and start to flesh out this process. You know what I mean? And literally, to your point, jiu-jitsu brings you to what you need in life. It really does. And something important about it is the repetition, not only in the actual movements so you can learn them, but the fact that you have to go multiple times a week, right? And build that into your routine. And that's actually where I think discipline comes from, is from having a strict routine, something that you're going to do when you wake up. I try to vary what I eat in terms of like my meats. I try to like rotate my meats, right? But I know that I'm having like a piece of meat and nuts every morning. That's the first two things that I'm eating, that routine has helped me be more disciplined with my food choices. Like when we went out tonight, I didn't get anything that had wheat or carbs in it. I couldn't. I know that stuff hurts me. You did so much better
than me, yeah. But like, I eat terrible. I can't pass that up. Talking about that, like how much, like the reps, like how much mental reps do you do outside of jiu-jitsu?
Are you talking about in terms of jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, like I'm not talking about like moves. I mean, I am, but I'm not. I'm talking about like the whole scheme of jiu-jitsu, just thinking about jiu-jitsu. So when you're not at jiu-jitsu, what are the mental reps you're doing?
I think about it a lot. First I try to replay my rolls in my head and see where I've been getting caught lately. Like Zach has been catching me with ankle locks all the time. So I have to think about it. And I'm leaving my foot there. So what I need to do is figure out what I should be doing after, because the way that I'm getting into the spot is something that when it works for me, it works well. But if it doesn't, then it leaves that open. So I need to fix that hole. So I think about my rolls for that reason. And I was actually just talking about this with Fernando and Luis on the way here. I think there's a lot of value in watching tape on your days off. Really, I think whether you're watching like EBIs or whether you're watching Mastering the System or if you get a Grappler's Guide subscription, I think all those things are super helpful. Even if you're never going to do it in the gym, it's just helpful to watch, see it. I really get a lot of value too out of watching high-level black belts compete, because I like to see what they do and what works.
Okay, so you're going right into one of my new segments that I'm planning on trying to do in 2019. It's called "Who is your favorite grappler and why?" And you can't use anybody we know personally. That's the thing. Nobody you know personally.
Oh, that's interesting. I've learned a lot from Gordon Ryan for sure, but I wouldn't say he's my favorite. I think I like Gary Tonin a lot. He's exciting. Yeah, this is something that I'm going to catch flack for, but I don't really give a shit. Is like I like watching exciting jiu-jitsu, even though somebody like Wagner Rocha can like establish a position, and he's probably not going to lose that position, and it's slow and grinding. And while that is beautiful in its own right and highly effective in a self-defense situation, I definitely get a lot out of watching like people who know how to scramble really well and can watch people go from transition to transition to transition and then catch a submission in the heat of it. I really like watching that. And I'm trying to think, it wasn't Jeff Glover, but it was someone else in one of the early EBIs that was awesome. It's going to drive me crazy that I can't remember his name, but I think Gary Tonin's like that. I think he moves a lot, and I enjoy watching that type of stuff unfold. What about you? Who's your favorite grappler?
I mean, it's just like you're saying. It's no secret. Everybody knows that Gordon Ryan is my favorite.
Funny.
We will catch a lot of flack for this for the guys that are listening to this in the gym, but Gordon Ryan he's outside of Josh, he's who I try to emulate my game around.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna take my answer back. I was thinking about it. I was like thinking about matches. PJ Barch.
Oh, there you go.
PJ Barch. He's in the system. Yeah, PJ Barch. I like his wrestling. He does, it's like takedowns for non-shooters, right? Like he does a lot of like slide bys and stuff like that, and Russian, and I like watching that. It's fun. And he's doing what I said, except the only difference is like he's using 10th planet techniques, right? And he's like going through the scramble of paths that we know, and I like that. I actually really like his style a lot. He's definitely my favorite right now.
Dude, I'm a huge PJ Barch fan, and watching the quintet stuff and getting to see him
that's what I'm talking about.
Like our 10th planet team, like our guys, in the system, that they're fun to watch. They're fun to learn from. And it's one of those things like jiu-jitsu. Every time I ask people that, like, it's interesting to me because I always assume that people are going to pick people around their body types.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, you kind of did in a way. Like Gary Tonin was a little bit bigger than I thought. You know, you'd say, but he's not that much bigger than you.
No, it's similar for sure. And PJ Barch isn't that much bigger than me. I think he competes at like 170, something like that, 175.
And I think that's like the little voice, the subconscious in people's heads. Like when we see something on television or whatever it is, we kind of put ourselves like, could that be us? You know what I mean? So I think that's why people find, you know, like people that look like them, they're the same size. They do things that they do on the mat in a certain way, or you want to do. Like if you're not there yet, but you want to do that. We're all kind of creative in our own way, and we all understand like, yeah, this is where like that person's where I want to be.
Yeah, definitely. Right. I get that.
And it's cool to watch their evolution once you know you're sucked into the system or like of jujitsu, like as a whole. You're like, okay, now I'm deep, or, you know, whether it's striking, right? So if you're a stand-up guy and maybe back in the day, like you're like, man, I have this great power. I want to be like Mike Tyson. Or, you know, maybe you're like, oh, you know, I like to duck and move and I'm like Floyd Mayweather, you know, whatever it is. Like no matter what it is you're training, or if you see a good Muay Thai guy, you're like, oh, you know, MMA, I'm Anderson Silva. You know, like everybody finds like, who can I relate to because they have my style, and it's exciting to everybody. It's just like people that love leg locks, they love leg lockers. Like
yeah, they
on the
find
big
them.
Stage.
They find them. I think that my style has been the most heavily influenced by Josh, Javi, and Juan.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
But that's because we get, you know, a lot of hands-on from them. But like you're saying, you watch a lot of tape, you know, whether you're breaking it down. We're always breaking it down because we're in the game.
Yeah.
But that, you know, like the outside the system that with the guys we don't get to see, like I'm going to be surprised for the people that sit across from me and tell me something. Like if I get like a guy your size at about 155, 160.
He's like, Tom DeBlas.
Yeah, and he tells me Tom DeBlas. I'll be like, really, bro?
Really? Yeah, right.
I mean,
right.
like that's good. He's great, but like you're not like 225 pounds.
Right.
Like that's going to be the day that I get surprised. I'm going to dig real deep. But what is coming up in 2019 for Kyle Moran?
I'm getting that business launched, man, for sure. Emily and I are going to build the website very, very soon. I'm going to try to get a couple more certifications. I want to start focusing on grass tone or gua sha massage, which is like scraping myofascial scar tissue away to increase mobility. There are videos online of Charles Poliquin talking about his kinetic chain enhancement class, which is modeled after like ART, which is active release therapy, or this gua sha massage, and he makes people like 30 to 40% more flexible in 30 seconds. And if I am going to be training athletes, I think that is a very cool skill to have.
I'm listening, bro. I need to get flexible.
Dude, I think scraping is a really good way to do that, man. You could buy the tools online for the low and get some, it's called emollient, but it's like a balm that you put on your skin so this tool can slide against it. And that shit works. And it works almost within minutes of you doing it. But the thing is it pulls blood to the surface of your skin, and you will bruise your skin, and it gets like, it opens your hair follicles in your skin in the same way like getting a fresh tattoo does. So you have to be careful when you go back onto the mats after doing it. You have to either wrap it up or take like 2 days to off, or make sure you have planned your gaps accordingly. But you'll be more mobile when you find the right spots. Not every spot bruises, but the spots that do bruise are the spots that need the work. And like I did my glute med, and my rubber guard got more flexible almost immediately.
Did it really?
Yeah, for sure, man.
We're
It's
going to
crazy.
have to talk off air about that.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Because your boy's got to get more flexible.
Yeah, I recommend it for sure.
Do you do any yoga, stretching, anything other than that?
Well, I don't, honestly. Kelly Starrett, great dude, by the way. He wrote The Supple Leopard.
So that's my next book on the list after this, David Goggins.
You can probably just skim that book as you have problems with your body. I don't necessarily think that you would need to read it from front to like cover to cover. It reads like a textbook. You know what I mean? He definitely wrote it that way. And the way it's designed is like, all right, he has these body archetypes, right? So like putting your hands overhead, or getting into a squat, or doing a hip hinge only. And if you're lacking in this movement in certain areas, like you go to put your hands overhead, but you have to bend your elbows, right, to get them overhead instead of having them straight locked out overhead. Or as you go overhead, you start to arch your back because your lats are too tight, right? And just things like that. And he shows you how to like where to massage and what to roll out to actually help you do that. So he uses these small massage balls of varying sizes, like a little cross ball, all the way up to his blue wad ball, which is maybe like, I don't know how to decide, a little bit bigger than a softball. And so rolling around on specific pressure points, and if you do this and you find a spot that hurts and you relax and you move, activate that muscle by certain movement patterns, that'll increase your flexibility just from doing that. So there are times where like I can't touch my toes because I'm too tight from either squatting, deadlifting, or jiu-jitsu.
You lift a lot. Like I watch Emily Instagram stuff and Snapchats. Like you guys are always in the gym when like lifting weights when you're not in the gym doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I'm doing jiu-jitsu at least 3 days a week, and I'm in the gym at least 3 days a week as well. So it's a lot of work, and I have to make sure that I'm flexible or I'll get hurt at jiu-jitsu.
Do you just take one rest day a week, or like how's that work for you?
Sometimes the days that I do jiu-jitsu and the days that I go to the gym are the same day. So that helps a lot. And then recovery is all about nutrition. It's all about getting quality sleep. People who think that you don't need quality sleep, like you're not going to recover properly. It's a fact. And then I do proper nutrition and supplementation. I feel great now. I honestly, between the way that I've been eating and my supplement regimen, I feel awesome.
Dude, I mean, you look amazing. You act amazing.
Thanks,
I like where you're going. I'm always proud of you. I love you, man. I appreciate you coming on. And do you got a quick tagline you want to leave for my Photoshop the World campaign that I'm doing? I just started with Josh.
What is your Photoshop the World campaign?
My photo, did you see the one I did with Josh?
Yeah, only the one where he was like sitting in front of your Head Kick Radio logo.
That's what's going to happen. I'm going to put a picture of you up there, and I'm giving you a chance to put your own tagline. If not, I'm going to find something from this.
I prefer you to find something. I like seeing what other people interpret from the situation.
I was kind of hoping you'd say something cool like drillers make killers.
Drillers make killers, bro. I don't have any one-liners like that. You know what I mean?
All right, you got to work on that for the next one.
I know. I got to do that. I really just don't have any. The people that I idolize have them, so I think it's about time.
I know. Any last words before we bounce?
No, man. Thank you, and congrats to you, dude. Getting your blue belt is a huge accomplishment. So congrats. I'm happy to see that,
dude. Thank you. It's been a wild week. Graduating college, blue belt. Getting to see all the people at the gym today was amazing. Getting to see Josh get his black belt. I'm grateful for it all,
dude. Me too. Dude, one last thing. Do you remember? Oh God, man, it must have been like 2 years ago now. Maybe even more. We were driving around after a day of jiu-jitsu and we were like, dude, we're blue belts. I know that we're blue belts for sure. And I
don't remember we saying that exactly. We were like, we're good. We're good.
No, but I'd be like, I feel like I deserve this. And then when I actually got it, I started thinking back on those moments and I was like, I did not deserve shit in those during that time period at all. And how do you feel looking back?
I mean, we're dumb. We're always gonna be dumb. We're dumb right now. Anybody ask me anything, I'm dumb as shit.
Funny, man.
But I'm grateful.
It's funny how things evolve.
I'm grateful. I can't wait to look back. Hopefully that this journey never ends, and one day I can look back as a black belt and just be like, you teared up over that? You little sissy.
Funny.
That's kind of what I'm hoping for. But brother, love you. Appreciate you.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you. You as well. Appreciate it. Bye, everybody.
We out.
Say hello to the stars.